Welcome to the Operations Management Framework. In this video, we will be looking at the second quadrant, Operations Design, dealing with business process management and business process mapping. Business process management. Business process management is a disciplined approach to identify, design, execute, document, measure, monitor, and control both automated and non-automated business processes to achieve consistent targeted results aligned with the institution's strategic goals. Types of business processes. There are three types of business processes within business process management, namely core, support, and management. Core processes, often referred to as primary processes, are end-to-end cross-functional processes which directly deliver value to the service beneficiary. These can come in the form of products, services, support, or information. Support processes, also known as the enabling processes, are processes that support the core processes by providing the resources and infrastructure required by the primary or core processes. These add value to the internal service beneficiaries of the institution and not directly to the external service beneficiaries. Management processes are used to plan, measure, monitor, and control business activities and do not directly add value to the service beneficiary, but are necessary to ensure that the institution operates effectively and efficiently. Business process management maturity levels refer to the levels at which processes are managed within an institution. These levels are scaled from 1 to 5. At level 1, there are no organized processes. Level 2 indicates that some processes are organized. Therefore, institutions have begun to define some formal processes. Level 3 is where you find that most processes are organized. Institutions expand their formalization efforts and begin to organize individual processes into a larger system of processes. Level 4, processes are managed. Institutions have their core processes defined and aligned and are focused on managing those processes on a day-to-day basis. Level 5. Processes are continuously improved. Institutions maintain their already excellent processes and have teams that focus on continuous process improvement, using data derived from processes and from service beneficiaries to assure that their processes remain as effective and efficient as possible. Phases of business process management. Business process management consists of 6 phases that are crucial to the application of this methodology, and those phases are preparation and activation phase, as-is phase, improvement approach phase, to-be phase, implementation phase, and the maintenance phase. Let's look at these phases in a bit more detail. Phase 1, preparation and activation phase. During this phase, care must be taken to ensure that the following preparatory activities are undertaken and completed. Obtain and secure buy-in from senior management so they can lead and promote the need to have business process management in place. After securing the buy-in, develop a change management plan to ensure complete rollout of business process management in an institution. Lay the foundation upon which the institution will conduct its business process management projects and engagements. The 5 aspects that need to be addressed in this sub-phase are policy aspects, governance structures, tools and structure, setting of minimum standards, and the identification of a data repository. Thereafter, perform a comprehensive stakeholder analysis for all stakeholders that will be affected by the implementation of business process management. The rollout of the business process management methodology should be undertaken on a project management basis, which looks at timescale requirements, effective use of resources, meeting specified objectives, stakeholder profile, constraints and limitations, and the available skill set. Phase 2. As-is phase. During this phase, various issues need to be addressed to determine the as-is situation regarding business process management. Once this phase has been completed, it will not have to be done again, as the to-be situation becomes the as-is in future business process management initiatives. The first step in this phase is to analyze the business strategy, as it identifies the service beneficiaries, mandates, and services. Then, define the business architecture by means of developing a components process inventory list, also known as a business process architecture, or BPA. Once that is complete, you then identify and appoint process owners, who should be held accountable for the effective functioning of their mapped processes and the overall improvement of processes. Document and map every process. This ensures synergy of processes and eliminates duplication, overlapping, and delays. Establish performance measures that will measure the performance of processes. These measures are categorized by either effectiveness measures, which are conformance to standards and fitness for purpose, or meeting service recipients' requirements. Efficiency measures are process times, costs, and benchmarks. Then, you measure process performance. The findings and results of the performance measurements must be formally approved and documented. This information can be used later on to serve as baseline information. Subsequently, you analyze process performance results to identify the gaps and note them for future attention and improvement. And lastly, determine the process vision. During this step, a high-level vision and/or design principles need to be determined based on the results of the analysis of the process performance that was done. Phase 3. Determine improvement approach phase. Depending on the nature of the shortfall and the gaps identified in the as-is phase, vision and design principles, a specific approach should be selected to address the real issues. Therefore, business process improvement is the changing of a business process to make it more effective, efficient, or adaptable. And this process change continuum looks as follows. Business process improvement is done on an incremental or a radical basis. There are multiple types of approaches one can use to improve business processes. For radical improvement, one can make use of the following approaches. Business process redesign. This is the innovative redesign of key business processes to achieve breakthrough improvements in business performance. Business process reengineering, or BPR, is the fundamental rethinking and radical redesign of major business processes. Then we have business process innovation. This takes place when an existing practice is reviewed and replaced by something better. For incremental improvement, the following approaches can be used. Total Quality Management, or TQM, is the comprehensive and structured approach to institutional management that seeks to improve the quality of products and services through ongoing refinements in response to continuous feedback. Phase 4. To be phase. Redesign the process. Once the existing process has been analyzed, the process beneficiaries' requirements understood, and the process vision created, it is time to apply the process improvement techniques, using this process improvement wheel as a tool. The process improvement wheel has 6 techniques to improve the selected process rapidly. The business process is in the center of the wheel. The 6 techniques used to improve the process are wrapped around the process. To use the wheel, we start at the top with eliminate bureaucracy and work clockwise around the wheel, ending with automate the process. Let's go through the wheel and the techniques. The first step is to reduce bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is usually the result of excess application of policy, procedures, and rules. In order to reduce or eliminate bureaucracy, look at the best way to satisfy the valid business rules and eliminate activities that apply redundant rules. Add value. The primary goal of a business process is to add value to the process beneficiaries. Each activity in the process should carry out value-adding work. They can be classified into 3 types. The second type, business value adding or BVA, are activities which add value to the institution but not the service beneficiaries. The third type, non-value adding or NVA, are activities which add no value to the service beneficiaries or the institutions. The next step is to eliminate duplications that occur when multiple functional units are involved in a business process and there is no integration between the units. Next is to simplify the activity. By carrying out the first 3 steps in the process improvement wheel, the process should be simpler than it was before. However, further simplification of activities and links between activities should be sought. Go through each activity in the model and ask the following questions. Can we standardize the activity to make it easier to perform? Can we reduce the number of errors made by the activity? And can we combine any activities in the process? Reduce cycle time. By the time this step is reached in the process improvement wheel, you should have reduced the process cycle time, but further action can still be taken. The 2 main causes of high cycle times are process fragmentation, where the work stops flowing at many points during the execution of the process, and bottlenecks, which are process constraints that create a backlog of work to be done and increases the cycle time of the process. Going through the as-is phase will help identify these points of fragmentation and bottlenecks. Automate the activity. Now that the efficiency and effectiveness of the process has been increased by applying the previous steps in the process improvement wheel, it is time to harness information technology or ICT, which is essentially a process enabler but can also be a constraint if not applied correctly. After applying the steps of the process improvement wheel successfully, you then need to build the to-be process. During this phase, the results from the analysis are used to address the problems that were identified during the process analysis. The new processes are then developed to meet the performance gaps through a process of creativity and innovation. The process improvement phase is used to design alternative prototype processes which can then be tested to see whether they improve the original process and how. The next phase to consider is the implementation phase. Phase 5, implementation phase. In this phase, you transform the process by first obtaining implementation mandate from the relevant decision-making authority in the institution. Develop implementation plan, which indicates who needs to do what, by when, to install the newly designed business process, with approximate milestones needed to be developed and approved. Then, you implement quick wins. Process implementation is the responsibility of the various business process and sub-process owners. Update repository to ensure that all the information is up to date. Then, you celebrate success as it builds and improves employee morale. And lastly, train employees in order to ensure a productive work environment so as to provide better services to beneficiaries by meeting and exceeding their expectations. After that, you manage the process. This is the responsibility of process and sub-process owners and includes monitoring and evaluation to monitor the impact of the newly implemented process. Phase 6, maintenance phase. In this phase, it is important to monitor the process performance of the newly designed processes, as well as all existing processes. There should be a constant lookout of where processes can be improved further and on a continuous basis. In conclusion, business process management is of vital importance to the public service in order to ensure quality service delivery. Now that we have dealt with the institutionalization of business process management, let's look at one of the core elements: business process mapping.